Hello, everybody. How are you guys? It's another beautiful day in Pittsburgh. If you haven't been here, you got to get out here, guys. And just to entice you, here are 5 things you may not have ever known about Pittsburgh. Number 1, baseball was invented in Pittsburgh. Now, I hear you. That's what I said. But when you hear the evidence, so some early settlers to this area, settlers from the New World that preceded the settlers that founded the country, made their way to Pittsburgh and played a form of baseball called Bayesians right here in this area. And so archaeological finds have discovered that these people, unnamed tribe that came from the New World, probably Paris, probably London, probably had top hats, we don't know. But they preceded the settlers that came to Plymouth Rock, and they made their way to Pittsburgh Valley right here and played a form of baseball called Bayesians. So most experts, even some people that are reticent about allowing Pittsburgh being the founding location of baseball, have agreed that that is in fact the case. I had no idea. Bayesians, the original baseball right here in town. Now, Pittsburgh was not the name of the town. It wasn't called Pittsburgh, okay? It was these guys named Muskrat and Love. They were trappers in the area. And the trapping game went up and down depending on the season. So on the side, they were hired killers. Okay, and so they would get some hits now and then, okay, as a side gig, a side hustle, to supplement their trapping income and to name the area. They called it Trapski, based on their original occupation. But again, that was a seasonal thing, very difficult to keep an even cash flow, so they did hits on the side for the early mafia here in town. Amazing. Now, here's an interesting thing. Number 3 on our list, they created an app at Carnegie Mellon. This is a university in town that's known for tech. There's a lot of smart people over there. They created, because of the vagaries of the weather here, the constantly changing weather, they put their heads together and came out with an app that can change the weather from rain to sun, from sun to rain, depending on what you want, cold to hot, hot to cold, humid to not humid, and vice versa. The problem is they made the app on Android and they couldn't find anybody in town that had an Android to test the app. So it just lays in the Android App Store, whatever that's called, and no one's been able to use it. But they can change the weather. It's a fascinating fact. And number 4. Early on, there was a female mayor of Pittsburgh. It was one of the original female mayors of any major city, if not the, but we don't know. Margaret Yango was the 3rd mayor of Pittsburgh and the first female mayor. And again, like I said, one of the first ever female mayors. And she led very effectively. Women, a lot of guys don't want to admit this, but women are a lot of times better and more effective leaders because they are better at building teams. Their ego doesn't get in the way as much. Not that it doesn't, that's not a blanket statement, but guys are mostly about ego and women are more about getting things done. And she led Pittsburgh through a very difficult beer shortage, guys. Think about Pittsburgh without beer. They had to get beer from Philadelphia, from Canada, from Atlanta, from, God forbid, Ohio. And of course, Milwaukee and Chicago. But they were bringing beer in from these other states. Some states they don't necessarily even get along with. Meaning Ohio, home of the Browns. They're like, no, we don't commiserate with you guys. You're the enemy. That's what they said to Cleveland. But until they ran out of beer, then they're like, one ringy dingy, hello. Can you send us a case? But Margaret, again, the qualities of a woman to step aside, keep their ego out of it, and she was able to lead the city through a serious beer shortage. That's number 4. And finally, number 5, did you know that the entire city of Pittsburgh was located a mile upstream And during one of the biggest storms in the history of this area, the entire settlement washed down to where it is today. And guys, if you've ever moved and you didn't realize how many things you have, you don't realize how many things you have until you move. Well, they looked around and they said, we're not moving it back. Look at all this stuff. So they built the city where the settlement ended, right there at the confluence of the three rivers. Amazing. Guys, those are 5 fun facts you probably had no idea about for Pittsburgh, and another reason you should come see us.